you please announce that we are waiting for sir to join?
Yes, sir, we'll start soon. We are just waiting for our opening speaker to be here. So we'll start very soon. He'll be joining by any time now.
I think Sangeeta Di has joined. Welcome, Sangeeta Di.
Yeah, hello, Shankar Reddy.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, join now. Good
Okay.
evening.
So, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Yes, sir. Sir, should we start? So, we're just waiting for you.
Yeah. So I think, so if you are ready, we can start.
Okay, great. So, we can start now. So the team IEEE Computer Society Student Branch Chapter IIT Kharagpur welcomes you all once again to the day 2 of our Utsav series, the 75th year of celebrations of IEEE Computer Society. So we are extremely glad to have our Kharagpur section chair, Professor Sudeep Mishra, sir, as our opening keynote speaker. And we are extremely delighted that sir, apart from having a very extremely busy schedule, sir gives us the time to be with us and share a bit of regarding IEEE and IEEE Computer Society. So it's a very brief introduction of Professor Sudhir Mishra, sir. So Sudhir Mishra is a professor and Abul Kalam Technology Innovation National Fellow in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. He received his Ph.D. degree in computer science from Carleton University in Ottawa, Canada. His research interests include wireless sensor networks and Internet of Things. Professor Mishra has published over 350 scholarly research papers and 12 books. He has won 9 research paper awards in different conferences. He was awarded the IEEE ComSoc Pacific Outstanding Young Researcher Award at IEEE GlobeCom 2012, California, USA. He was also the recipient of several academic awards and fellowships such as Faculty Excellence Award from IIT Kharagpur, Young Scientist Award, National Academy of Science, India, Young System Scientist Award, System Society of India, Young Engineers Award, Institution of Engineers, India, Canadian, the National Academy of Science, India, Swarna Jayanti Puraskar Golden Jubilee Award, and the Career 360 Outstanding Faculty Award in Computer Science for the year 2018 from the Honorable Minister from Human Resource Development, MHRD of India. He was awarded the Canadian government's prestigious NSERC Postdoctoral Fellowship and the Alexander von Humboldt Research Fellowship in Germany. His term received the GYTI Award in 2018 in the hands of the President of India for socially relevant innovations. Dr. Mishra has been serving as an associate editor of different journals such as IEEE Transactions on Mobile Computing, IEEE Transactions on Vehicular Technology, IEEE Transactions on Sustainable Computing, IEEE Networks, and IEEE System Journals. He is a fellow of the National Academy of Science, NASA India, Indian National Academy of Engineers, INAE, the Institution of Engineering and Technology, IIT UK, British Computer Society, BCS UK, Royal Society of Public Health, RSPH UK, and the Institution of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering, India. Professor Mishra is the Distinguished Lecturer of IEEE Communication Society. He has been serving the Executive Committee of IEEE Kharagpur Section since 2008 in different capacities. Presently, he is the Chair of IEEE Kharagpur Section. He is the Director and Co-founder of IoT startup Sensor Drops Networks Private Limited. So, welcome you again, sir, amongst us, and we are extremely happy that, apart from you being in a very busy schedule of yours, you give us time. So now it's over to you, sir, for sharing a little bit about IEEE and IEEE Computer Society. So it's over to you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Devorshi. So what I will do is I will keep it a bit informal because what I see is more than half of the population over here who are present, so I know most of you. So let us keep it a little bit informal. I don't have any slides with me. So it's not a keynote lecture in that sense, and I will stick to some 5 to 10 minutes of interaction with you, right? So first of all, what I will do is I will share with you how we evolved over the years, right? So at present, I am trying to serve the Kharagpur section, in the capacity of the chair. However, I have been associated with the Kharagpur section in the executive committee of the Kharagpur section almost continuously since the year 2008. Okay, so I joined in 2007 and joined as a faculty in 2007 in IIT Kharagpur, and since 2008, continuously I have been associated with this section in the executive committee. So I will share with you some of my experiences so far, and how things evolved. So first of all, so I'm very glad that you all have taken enthusiastically. You have taken this voluntary job, and you are doing it very seriously. And so just before joining this session, I wanted to know more about what you are doing as part of this UTSAV 2021. Of course, as the chair earlier, you had all informed me, but I wanted to know more about the activities that you are into. And I'm so impressed that so under your leadership in the computer science section student branch, you have created a very exciting program. So today's session, of course, what I believe is it started from yesterday and it is going to go all the way up to 10th of October, if I remember correctly. And what I see is that every day you have some exciting program with you. So today's session is very important because most of the participants that I see right now are senior researchers, senior student researchers, I would say, or student researchers at least. And definitely, this session is supposed to be beneficial for everyone because, if you are, doing a PhD, quite likely that as a logical step, most of you will be, thinking about what should be your, next course of action after the PhD, right? So there are different options that you would be having, and what I see is among the speakers, you have some knowledgeable speakers who can share their own personal experiences, and also the overall scenario that is there in terms of the opportunities, the market opportunities that are there. So I will refrain from getting into it, because I myself, I have not been searching for a position that many of you would be interested in, and I did that way back in 2005, right, immediately after I completed my PhD. So, but my search at that time was not as much as many of you would have to do now, because the competition has increased many folds, right? That is not going to happen. The time ahead for all of you who are into search for postdoctoral opportunities or whatever is much more than the things used to be during my time. So I wonder, so if I were in your shoes right now, then so how much stressed I would be to get a suitable position. So things were, and things actually are evolving, and um, so you don't need to be, I don't want to scare you, of course, because the opportunities have also increased, right? So the types of opportunities that are available right now were not available during my time, and of course, so things evolve, right? So the same way as everything else is evolving, these things are also evolving. So let me just those of you who may not be associated strongly with IEEE, so as you know, that IEEE has its origin in the history more than more than 100 years, right? So it's much more than that. Sometime actually, formally IEEE came into being in 1960s, if I remember correctly, and sometime in the 1960s. But in terms of forming an association of like-minded people who were interested in electrical engineering in general, that sort of effort started way back in the 1800s, some 1880, 1860, if I remember, 1860, 1880, something like that. I don't remember the dates, and I'm not good in remembering dates either. So around that time it started. You see, the reason I will tell you why I'm telling you about the history and the evolution of IEEE. You will find it a little interesting, little later when I get into few other facts. So things have evolved, right? So it started. Those of you who may not be aware, like-minded people in electrical engineering in general, they got together. And earlier, it started as an American organization, right? So it started, in fact, as two different organizations. It started initially with, the AIEE, so American Institute for Electrical Engineers, and the other one was the IRE, Institute of Radio Engineers, or something like that, right? So IRE. So these were the two different organizations it started. So I'm talking about before 1960, right? So how it was. So it started like that, and so there were two streams of efforts those days, right? So there were two streams of effort. One was in the power sector, right? In the power sector, there was a thrust from electrical engineers like Edison, and also telephony was evolving those days through the works of Graham Bell, Marconi, and so on. So that was another stream, right? So one was the radio stream or the communication stream, and the other one was the power sector, right? So power stream. So primarily it started that way, but you see that eventually what happened is there were two different organizations like AIEE, and the other one was the IRE. These two basically merged, and in the 1960s, what happened is this IEEE came into being, right, formally. So it started with a huge membership those days, right, and then things evolved. So many different societies eventually came into being, many different societies. Along with societies, different student branches, right? So different chapters, student branches, and nowadays we are even talking about affinity groups like the Young Professional Affinity Group, the WIE, right? So Women in Engineering Affinity Group, and so on and so forth. So now, so things have evolved in a massive scale over the years, right? So that's the IEEE as a whole, right? So we are talking about not only like, electrical engineering subjects, core electrical like machines and power and so on and so forth, but also we are talking about, on the other hand, electronics like VLSI and so on and so forth. And also parallelly, there is a huge thrust on the computer science related subjects, right? Subjects means like computer science related topics like image processing, computational intelligence, then networking, and so on. So you see that it's not restricted to only core electrical anymore. So it's electrical sciences in general. So electrical sciences includes the entire spectrum, and this entire spectrum basically includes almost anything that is related to the broader scope of electrical sciences. So nowadays so we have IEEE transactions, the core IEEE journals, right? So these are called like IEEE transactions, right? So we have IEEE transactions on geoscience, right? Remote sensing geoscience, right? So we have IEEE transactions on software engineering, right? So software engineering, right? So that's also electrical engineering in a broad sense. So nowadays, everything is there. We have magnetism, we have so all kinds of IEEE societies are there, antennas and propagation, including biomedical processing, right? So we have all sorts of different societies. So things have evolved massively, and I was just looking at the current data, just before the talk, and I was amazed to know that at present we have 39 societies, 39, okay, and all over the world. And all of you know that the IEEE footprint is in almost every part of the earth, and we have 10 different regions geographically. It has been segmented as 10 different regions. So art 10, we belong to art 10, right? So like this, most of the regions are in US, right? And some have been taken in Europe, and the rest of the world is like, so the major one, the Asia Pacific, is basically art 10, okay, and we belong to art 10, region 10. So anyway, so you see that there is a strong presence of the Americas in the IEEE, right? Because that is quite understandable, because IEEE evolved that way. So this particular, those of you who are not associated with the Computer Society, so the organizers are from the IEEE Computer Society student branch, and so it's basically under IEEE Kharagpur section. So IEEE Kharagpur section again is under IEEE India Council, right? And so all the different sections and chapters, etc. So everything is basically, so earlier actually India Council was also not existent. So India Council also came into being like a couple of years back only. So so everything is under the umbrella of the India Council. So India Council also has its chair, etc. So I'm not getting into that. So it's of research and outreach activities on computer sciences. Okay, and so what I saw is that you have in this, as part of this UTSAV 2021, you have different activities. The hosts, the organizers have conducted different activities. One of the exciting ones is the extreme program, the coding contest, I believe, right? So that's the 24-hour coding contest, so which is very good, and I think this is a very nice effort. And so this session is also another activity today, so the guidance session. And so today you are going to hear about what are the different steps, or how the market is like at present, because some of the speakers, they just graduated, in the last 1 year or so, right? So roughly that. So you will hear from them, what has been their experience, and particularly during this pandemic time, because everywhere, there has been job cuts, and the same thing has affected this community also. This, all these postdoctoral and faculty positions and all of these have also been affected. The economic situation everywhere, uh, most parts of the world have been affected. So, so what to do, right? So everybody has to graduate, right? So Devorsi cannot wait that, okay, let the pandemic go and then I will graduate, right? So it cannot happen, right? So everybody, so life has to go on, right? So under these circumstances, what can, what best you can do, right? So, and what has been the experience? So this is a very nice session that Computer Society Student Branch has organized. So as I was telling you that, computer science, basically computer science, as most of you know, have different areas, right? And every area is different. So, my experience in working or doing research in IoT and networks would be very different from somebody who is working on software engineering, which will be very different from somebody who is more interested in image processing and so on, right? So the market situation will also be little different. So why I wanted to tell you is that this particular aspect, keep in mind that the sampling that you are going to do today with 3 speakers, right? So that may not be universally applicable for all the areas of computer science, right? So that is something that you have to keep in mind. So yeah, so that's mostly like, so what I would like to tell. So let me also give you a little bit of idea about so what are the different job options, what are the different prospects that you may have, right? So I have not come prepared, okay? So I'm telling you extempore. Because so Devorsi actually caught me off guard by telling that keynote speech, right? So I have not come prepared for his keynote speech. So let me just try to share my experiences about dealing with some of my students, so hearing from them, how they tried to handle this particular job of finding a suitable job, right? So job of finding a suitable job. So how they try to handle it. So I am going to share from a supervisor's perspective, right? So what has been my experience. So let me tell you a couple of things, right? So first of all, as I was telling you that things have changed massively, not just the pandemic, not just because of the pandemic, but overall, things have evolved, right? So I graduated 16 years back. Okay, so I did my PhD 16 years back, right? So things were very different, right? Of course, those days also, we used to think like, so for us also, we used to feel like, our batch or around that time, that things are different, things are difficult than it used to be earlier before us. We used to face the difficulty, but now looking back, I see that, my students and the generation, like all of you are in a much more difficult situation than what we used to face earlier, right? So things are becoming more and more difficult. So what can you do, right? So number one is that there is no alternative to having a very strong profile. Okay, having a very strong. So so keep these keywords in mind, right? The market outside is very competitive. There is a huge factor of quote unquote luck that is also playing a huge role, because things are not streamlined, right? It's not like everybody appears for the JEE main and then you get some scores. Everybody appears for the JEE advanced, you get some scores, there is a counseling session and the slots are filled up. Not like that. The the market after PhD that you are trying to get into is highly random, right? So finding a job is also highly dependent on getting information about the right prospects at the right time, right? So what are the options? So a couple of options, right? The logical options that students after the PhD have. Number one is that they will try to probably get into the industry. So after the PhD, they will get into the industry. So here in industry, there are two types of jobs, right? One is aligned with research, right? So generally, like, so let us say Microsoft research, Yahoo research, Google research, and so on and so forth. So industry research, right? The other one is not strongly research, but are industry scientific positions, engineer positions, so these are also responsible positions that require a PhD, but strictly speaking, these are not like, research oriented positions. So in the industry, you have two types of opportunities, right? And the other one is basically academic research. So in academic research, one option is to go into um, go for a postdoctoral research position, and the other option is basically to go for a faculty position, right? Now in our country, so let me start with the faculty position part first, right? So in our country, I will tell you that getting a faculty position in most of the good universities and the academic institutes, they are governed by certain rules, right? Either these are AICTE rules or UGC rules or MHRD rules, or some rules are there, right? So mostly because of the last pay commission, most of these places are going to ask for some postdoctoral research experience. Most of them, not all of them, they are there. So if you have the, like for example, like 3 years of postdoctoral experience, probably you can apply for one grade of assistant professor position. If you don't have, it's not like in most of the cases you will find that you are still able to apply, but you will be considered for a lower grade, right? So so these are the two types of so you need to come with some post PhD experience. So remember, whenever people are asking for experience, it is actually post PhD experience, postdoctoral doesn't mean like it has to be, the name has to be postdoctoral, it doesn't, the position title doesn't have to be postdoctoral. Post PhD experience is very important, right? So you have to, whatever you do, it has to be post PhD. So any experience that you are showing has to be post PhD. Actually, that is not the, I will also give you a little bit of because half of my career I spent abroad, right? So I will tell you that this post PhD experience is something that we experience in India. This is something that Indian ecosystem basically asks for. In abroad, so pre PhD experience is also counted for academic positions, right? Somehow in our country, we don't, most of the cases we don't count, right, any pre PhD experience. So any kind of, if I like, so for me, like I worked in the industry for several years, right? But everything was nullified when I applied for a faculty position in India. Okay, so all, but I also applied and I got some faculty position abroad in North America. But so all my industry experience, PhD experience was counted. But in India, actually, that sort of culture or that sort of requirement is not there. So you need to gather some post PhD experience. So 3 years ideally 3 years, but you can also go for some lower number of years if you have some other interests, etc., and then you can apply. But then most likely you will be considered for, definitely you will be considered for, if anything less than 3 years, you will be considered for the grade 2 assistant professor, grade 2, right? So grade 2, and grade 1 is going to be like if you have 3 years of experience, right? In most of the places it is like that, but so some state universities may have some different rules, etc., so you have to look what are the differences. So I was telling you that you have to build a strong profile, right? So strong profile means like it doesn't, so let me just give you a little bit of like from my personal experience, because I have also learned over time, I have learned while so I have failed and I have learned, right? So I did certain things, then I felt that I should not have done, so I have learned from my own mistakes. Okay, so at present, let me tell you, based on all kinds of experiences that I have gathered, you should focus more on quality. You should give importance on quality over quantity, right? But that doesn't mean that, you don't pay attention to quantity at all. Because let me just give you some uh, data, right? So for example, at present, the kind of applications that we are getting for faculty position in IIT Kharagpur, these are like top candidates, right? They have both the numbers and the quality, both. In most of the cases, they have both. So we had, cases where somebody having like 7, 8, 9 IEEE transactions, not even shortlisted. Okay, not even shortlisted, because many factors are taken into account while, shortlisting a candidate. Okay, we even had cases where like 1 or 2 IEEE transactions papers or ACM transactions papers, those people have been shortlisted. Not like, there has been any kind of biasness, not that somebody has some kind of quote unquote channel or anything like that, not like that. So everything is done in a very fair manner. That's the beauty of our institute and our department. So everything is done in a very fair manner. Okay, so the thing is that, so you have to look case by case, you have to look into every case. So people, so for example, one of the things that counts a lot is your pre-PhD academic background, right? So the name and reputation of the institutes from where you did your undergrad, your masters, your PhD, these are important. Name and reputation of your research supervisor is also very important in the community. Not directly, nobody tells, nobody will, during a shortlisting or anything like that, nobody will tell that, okay, XYZ is student, so not like that. But back of the mind, that kind of thing remains, right? So let us say that somebody who has a background in, let us say, something, some genetic algorithm, right? And if he had been associated with some famous professor working in genetic algorithms, then automatically that sort of biasness is created, right? But that is, of course, never an explicit criteria, so these are some of the factors actually that indirectly helps, in my personal opinion. Remember, so whatever I'm telling you, don't quote me saying that Professor Sudhir Mishra said this, that, etc. So these are all personal opinion. There is no hard and fast rule or anything like that. So nothing is cast in stone, right? So so academic background matters a lot, right? So you see that at this stage, if you are a PhD student, you cannot do much to repair or redo your where you did your BTech, MTech, etc. You cannot do much, right? So whatever. So what can you do? You can do a very top quality PhD at this point, right? And you can try to, right? Nothing is guaranteed. You can try to get a very high quality postdoctoral position. That's in your hand right now. Whatever has happened, you cannot do anything now, right? So you have to repair, right? Repair by doing very high quality research, right? So high quality doesn't mean that, only anything that is published in an IEEE transaction is high quality. But in general, if a top quality journal, and typically in our community, we say that most of the IEEE transactions or ACM transactions, if you are published there, so it is considered like, the quality of the work must also be very good, because you see, otherwise there is no way that anybody can judge a work, right? Every area is different, even within an area. So let us say networks, right? So my broader area of research is networks. But if you ask me about the different types of different streams of research on networks, I won't be able to tell you much, right? I only know about certain specific areas of research in networks. I know only that. I do not know anything beyond. Let me be very, honest with you. So that's me, right? I do not know much. I only know some about other areas. I know some only textbook things, not much. Okay. So everybody is an expert in only that myopic area or the topic in which they have done. So Sricheta, for example, is working on some topic. She is the expert on that topic. Nobody else, not even her supervisor, would be knowing anything better, right? My students know much better, much more, I'm telling you, that they know much more than what I do. They know, I mean, they are like experts. Okay. So what is the role of the supervisor? Supervisor basically, based on prior experience, expertise, etc. So over the years, so the experience that have come out. So based on that, we try to guide students like, so this is something that you can try doing. That's all, So, and globally, I will tell you, like in most of the major labs also, it is hardly the case that the students would be able to meet with their supervisor frequently, right? So the bigger, so-called big shots that you are working with, the more, the bigger the name and fame of your supervisor, the less likelihood of meeting with him or her, right? But of course, there are exceptions. This is something that I'm telling you based on my experience, right? So, in some cases, like you wouldn't even meet with your supervisor months together. No. So that's what happens. And even in postdoc also the same thing. Let me tell you. In postdoc also, if your supervisor is very highly named and famed, it is quite unlikely that you have met him even like once in 3-4 months, right? So this is the current situation. And I think people are more eager to hear from Ayon, Sangeeta, and Arijit. So I will not extend or prolong this thing any further. The only thing that I would like to tell you is that because I started informal, I will end informal. So if any of you, I consider like all students to be like my own students. So if anyone is interested to know or get any kind of informal guidance from me, feel free to contact me, not over email, call me, because in email I cannot write so much, right? So most of the typing is also done by my students nowadays, right? So call me and we can speak for 5 minutes, right? So that's all I can offer to you. So the market ahead is very competitive, right? So if you are trying for academic positions, first of all, it is quite unlikely that anybody is going to adopt or accept you for any position. And you see, even like getting a postdoctoral position is also very difficult, because people want to know that whether you have a strong track record of publications, right? Any postdoctoral supervisor, including me, I also have some opening, but you see, I have got like some 20-30 applications of students who have completed their PhD. But because it is my own grant, I am very careful about who I hire, right? So postdoctoral researcher has to help me in guiding other students, and it should not happen that I have to guide the postdoctoral researcher, right? So I'm very careful. I want to see that whether there is a strong track record of the person that I'm going to hire, whether there is strong evidence of doing good research, number one, whether there is strong evidence of the researcher to be able to guide students, because typically the postdoctoral researcher will be guiding PhD and MS students. So whether there is a strong evidence of that. And so if you have like, so sometimes, as a PhD student, many times your supervisor has asked you to guide some MTech or BTech or MS students or whatever, right? Or other PhD students. If that is the case, don't forget to mention that in your application, in your CV. Don't forget to mention that, right? But don't tell that you mentored the student, right? You have not guided the student, right? So there is a difference. Okay, so be careful about what you claim, because everything is going to be verified. And stay in good terms with your supervisor, because most of the job positions now, or even like 10 years 15 years later also, so you have to your supervisor is the one who can help you, right? So it is very important to be in good terms with your supervisor. This is a big mistake that many students do, right? They think that PhD is over, so chodo, forget. No. So you see, I'll just give you an example. Like, I became full professor in the year 2008, right? In my application, so every, in IIT Kharagpur, every promotion is not a promotion. You have to apply afresh, right? So in the application form also, it was given like, out of the referees, one of them should be your PhD supervisor. So luckily and not luckily, right? So that is actually my own, principle, etc. I have been in very good terms with all my supervisors so far, right? So I'm in very good terms. So PhD supervisor included. So I'm like, so I'm still like a kind of kid to my PhD supervisor and my MS supervisor also. So particularly PhD supervisor, I'm more in touch with him, and so that helps a lot because I get a lot of guidance. So when I talk to my PhD supervisor with whom I did my PhD like 16 years back, I become like a PhD student once again, right? So when I talk to him, right? So but when I'm guiding students, so my personality changes. So that's the difference. So anyways, so these are some of these tips that I could tell you, and I didn't come prepared. I became extempore, and so if there is anything now, maybe if Devorsi, if you permit, like couple of minutes, we can chat, and otherwise, anybody, so my doors are open. The only thing is to my own students also sometimes, they have to try 3-4 times to get a response from me. So that's the bad part about me nowadays. So but if you try sometime or the other, if you try persistently, so sometime or the other you will get a response, right? And it's not like Devorsi is not my PhD student, so I'm not going to talk to Devorsi, not like that. So my door is open for everyone. Okay. The only thing is to get my time slot. Sometimes I will tell you honestly that I'm not very good in managing the time, so I'm failing in many of the cases. But if you try a couple of times, once or twice, you will be able to reach me out. That's all. So open open for any kind of question, or they will see if we have time. I took more than what I promised, right? So from 5 minutes it went all the way more than half an hour, I think, right now.
Yeah, sir. Like it was so wonderful that we don't at all keep an eye on what the time is, but as because we need to stick to our time because our other speakers are waiting. So, sir, I don't think any questions are there or any volunteers would like to ask anything with sir. Otherwise, we can straightforward move to our next session.
Right. I think that is a good idea, right? Because the people who are lined up, they can give you first-hand, knowledge and experience, right? They can share better.
Okay, so thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your wonderful talk, starting from the IEEE and IEEE, then slowly moving to the importance of today's session. So it was so wonderful to hear from you. And we have a small token of appreciation for you. I request our chair, Ashwarya, I guess, to share the screen and kindly present it to sir. So, Ashwarya, are you there?
Yes, is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible. Yeah, so.
Yeah, can you see now the memento?
No, it's not done yet.
But
Okay,
don't worry, Aishwarya. I think it is important to save the time now, right? So Devorsi, so I will accept, the felicitation, and so Aishwarya, don't worry, right? So you can send me that image later on, and that's okay.
Just we can just give it another try, sir. Our vice chair is also there. So is it there with you?
Yes.
Can you
yes.
please kindly put it there? Yes.
Just give him a second. Sorry, it's not with me. I think with chair only.
Okay, don't worry.
Okay.
So it is our so it's the home, right? So you don't have to do it anything formally, right? So I accept.
Yeah.
So
thank you very much, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
thanks
yes.
for the felicitation. So thank you so much. And so what I will do, Devorsi, actually I'm already late. There is some.
Sir, before you leave, one request, sir. Sorry, sir. One request is that can we take a group photo with sir and all the speakers with us? Quick photo before sir leave. So I request Saurabh and
I'm taking.
Yes, so everyone kindly turn on the camera whoever would like to be in this memorable frame, and all our speakers. So just let me know when it's done.
It's done. Thank you, sir.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for this
Okay,
session
thank you. All the best.
and for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best. So I will disconnect now. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I think my screen is visible.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so now the thing that for which we are waiting for this, and it was so lovely to hearing Professor Sudhir Mishra sir and his views and vision regarding the future academic research. And we have already our expert speakers amongst us. We are extremely privileged to have Dr. Ayan Mondol, Dr. Shongita Dhara, and Dr. Arjit Dey amongst us. They will be focusing and elaborately tell the guidance on the academic career, specifically in this new normal. Though they are very well-known alumnus of IIT Kharagpur and very much close to us, but still we'd like to tell our participants a very brief introduction to all of our speakers. So starting with, we have Dr. Shongita Dhara with us. So Shongita Dhara is currently working as a research assistant at Trinity College, Dublin, Ireland. She completed her PhD in 2020 and MS by research in 2013 from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, India. She had been research associate in projects titled Enhancement of Transport Layer Protocol for Interplanetary Network since October 2010 to March 2013, and protocol development for delay-tolerant deep space networks since June 2013 to March 2017, sponsored by Indian Space Research Organization. Our main research area includes computer networks, interplanetary networks, vehicular networks, and design of algorithm. So welcome, Shongita Di, with us. And
Thank you.
our next speaker is Dr. Ayan Mondol. So Ayan Mondol is the postdoctoral researcher at the University of Rennes 1 in INRIA CNRS IECSA Rennes, France. He completed his PhD degree from the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, India in 2020. He's a former TCS PhD research fellow. He also received his MS and BTech degree from IIT Kharagpur in 2015 and from West Bengal University of Technology in 2012, respectively. His current research interests include algorithm design for data center networks, software-defined networks, sensor cloud, edge fog networks, smart grid, wireless sensor networks, and game theoretic applications. He has published 35 research papers in reputed IEEE and ASEAN transactions, journals, and conferences. Additionally, he is taking a lead in organizing VNI, the virtualization for enabling next generation IoT networks, and Cygnus, softwareized next generation networks for IoT services, workshops which are co-located with prestigious conferences such as IEEE HPSR 2021 and IEEE GlobeCom 2021, respectively. And he's also a professional member of IEEE and ACM. So welcome on the again amongst us.
Yeah, thank you.
And our next speaker will be Dr. Arjit Roy. So here's again introduction to Arjit Roy. So Dr. Arjit Roy is a postdoctoral research fellow in the University of Luxembourg. Prior to that, Dr. Roy completed his PhD from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, India. He received an MS by research and BTech degree in information technology from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, India, and West Bengal University of Technology, India, respectively. After completion of his BTech, he worked as a network engineer in Infotech Private Limited. Dr. Roy is also a co-founder and director of a startup named Sensor Drops Network Private Limited. He's an area expert of IEEE ComSouth Technical Committee eHealth, SIG on RT. Dr. Roy is a member of IEEE and ACM. Dr. Roy has a research experience of more than 10 years and his works published in many reputed essay journals and conferences. Additionally, he has 7 Indian patents, which are along the same line of his research work. Among his publications, a few are awarded as best papers in different venues such as IEEE System Journals and ICACIE Springer. He's a recipient of Council of Scientific and Industrial Research Senior Research Fellowship, CSIR SRF in 2017. Dr. Roy has been recognized with several awards such as Samsung Innovation Award and IBM Day Award. One of his research projects was selected among the top 9 worldwide in IEEE ComSoc student competition in 2014. He received the prestigious Gandhian Young Technological Innovation Award in 2018 for society relevant innovations, which was received from the Honorable President of India. He has been awarded with the Raman Chapter Fellowship in 2018. Only 4 researchers were selected in engineering sciences for visiting a French university and pursuing a short-term collaborative research. He has been selected as a young researcher to participate in 6th Heidelberg Laureate Forum in 2018, to be held in Heidelberg, Germany, in which only the 200 most qualified young researchers worldwide are given the opportunity to enrich and share the unique atmosphere of the Heidelberg Laureates. The broad research area of Dr. Roy is Internet of Things. Specifically, it includes Internet of Things, sensor cloud, wireless sensor networks, cloud computing, and wireless body area network. He, along with his team, developed different social impactful products and prototypes in the domain of healthcare and agriculture. So again, welcome Arjita amongst us. And so without any delay,
Thank you,
let's move ahead with our first speaker. So it will be a short, I guess 15 minutes for each speakers, and then we'll be having our most exciting panel discussion. So that will be there. So I will start with Shongita, I guess.
Okay.
Yes. So it's over to you, Shongita.
Okay. Okay, I share my screen. Okay. At
Yes.
first, I like to Debashri, Sricheta and Aishwarya to inviting me in this event, because it always feels good to be connected with IIT Kharagpur's junior. And I also get a chance to listen the wonderful speech by Professor Shudhi Mishra. Okay. My screen is visible?
It's coming, I guess. Yes, now it's over. Yes. Yes, it's visible. Can make it a full screen. Yes.
Okay. So I'll be very happy if whatever the little experience I have, it will help any of my junior to choose their in their career path. So the topic I was is like guidance on the academic research career in the new normal. So I will mainly tell you about my experience on finding a postdoctoral positions. So at first, what I will suggest to all my juniors think about that, do you really need a
Shongita, you can hide that thing, that sharing thing. You can just hide.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it okay?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay. So means like when we were doing our PhD, all of my friends and all of my co-worker, we always think to do a postdocs in abroad, because many of us didn't have any experience about the research facilities in abroad. We want to we want to need that exposure in our life, that how the things is going on in abroad, what are the other facilities and opportunities we can get in a research basis. But then the pandemic happened, and I have seen that many of my friends has actually changed their career directions from a postdoc to in some other sectors. Like many of my friends has joined in any private academic institute, because they thought that teaching experience will give them some advantage in their CV, and even when they will eventually join in will apply for any governmental institute in India. And many of my friend also joined in a industry, and now they have in a stable positions. So my suggestion is to, before jump into a position, keep these two things in point, that this is not an permanent positions, and many career options don't require further postdoctoral training. So based on the so before, while you are about to completing your PhD, you should be proactive to your proactively you should plan about your career path, that what type of work do you really want to do. Are you want to join in academia? Do you want to join in industry in future? You need to you want to be work in a government sector or in a private sector? Do you want to a stable job? Because always remember that when you will come, if you want to want a stable job, and if you really want to settle down in future in India, you have to again come back to India, and you have to struggle to search for the job, stable job in India. And many of my friends is also going through this phase. They have already done 2-3 years postdoc in abroad, but still they are going through the same procedure of searching a stable job in India. And you should also think about other responsibility, because while we are doing PhD and postdocs, we are already rich in a certain age. So we all already have some responsibilities like our family and all. So you should always think while you will looking for some opportunities after your PhD. You should always think about that what actual your final aim as of your stable job. So after all these decisions, after all this thinking, when you will be you will be sure that what you want in your life, then you have to think that how a postdoc can help you. So in this stage, you have to assess your skill. Like you have to think that you have to think about your conceptual and the research skill, like how much concept like you should always be very conceptually clear about your research area, because whatever the interviews I have I have attended, they are always ask me very conceptual questions about my research area. Very, your basic should be always clear. And but in with all this, if you feel that you should know something more in your research area, like something is emerging, there is something emerging field in your research area which you have not explored well in your PhD tenure, there is some tool you should learn again to compete with the current requirement of the market, then you can go for a postdoc, where this postdoc will give you that kind of experience. You should also think about the achievements. That achievements means how many papers you have, what of the patent you have, what of the research experience, in whether you have any experience in project handling, whether you have any leadership experience. And you can also you should also think about this achievements. And also you can think about communication and interpersonal skills, like your presentation skill, your writing skills, everything. So then you have to think that which of these skills do you still need to develop to reach your future career goals. And then based on that, you can choose a postdoc positions which will really help you to grow all of those skills where you feel that you need to develop. So means the my main point is, like, postdoc is nothing is not related any permanency. It is just a transition period in your life between your PhD and your future job. So this will just give you an opportunity to be ready and prepare yourself for your future job. So this can help you to improve your technical skills, your future conceptual skills, your communication skill in terms of your publications, presentations, your leadership or the management skill. So after all these things, when you will be sure that you want to do a postdoc, then you should start to apply for a postdoc positions. The first rule of thumb is that your postdoc should not be on the exact same topic as your PhD, but rather be a related and a complementary topic. And before you start your apply, you should do some homework on this topic, like what are the emerging and in ongoing topics in your broad area of the research. What are the inspiring papers and articles recently have been published. Like at first, like when I have started to search for my postdocs positions, then I was always looking for that what are the recent papers is coming out, who are those what are those labs where this type of work is going on. I make a list on that where I can apply in futures. And you should also look about that skills that are most demanding. Like you can see, like in most of the positions vacancies they are asking for nowadays in some, whether you know deep learning or machine learning. So these are something everyone is asking for. So you have to do some homework that what the current market is actually asking for, what they are looking for. So based on that, you have to apply for your postdoc positions. And then, like, you can ask me a question that when is a good time to start to all those things. This is also depends a person to persons, because all of our PhD journey is not same. So it I will suggest you, like, you should start to do all this research, initial research, when your PhD things will not demand any attention from you. So for me, when I have completed to write the first drop of my thesis, then and my professor is checking my thesis at that time, I get some time and I was started to do all this initial research about my postdoc applications. So when you are doing for the when you will be ready for apply for a postdoc positions, you remember there are the three way which you can get a postdoc positions. You should always look for the vacancies. You can contact the PI directly, and you can apply for the postdoc fellowships. So if you are looking for the vacancies, you should have a good networking. Like you should your LinkedIn profile should be updated, and there you can on the job search options by mentioning the related area where you are looking for a positions. You can get registered with the website of the different websites, different universities website, and they will keep on inform you about the vacancies. And if you want to contact the PIs directly, then at first you have to, that's as I have mentioned earlier, that you have to make a list of the potential labs and the supervisor with whom you want to work with. And for that selecting for selecting for selecting those PI, you have to like think that who has published the inspiring papers recently. Think back to the conferences you have attended. You may have met someone who have gave you some contact. Now you can't recollect that and contact that persons. And even you can asking your advisor, your supervisor for some leads, so that can helpful for some people. And other things is you can apply for a postdoctoral fellowship. There is some postdoctoral fellowship available throughout the world, and but you have to keep yourself updated about those fellowships and make note on the deadlines. So before start the application procedure, you have to be very you have to make ready your two things. First one is your CV, and one other thing is your cover letter. So CV is a very important thing. So I just want to mention some important things which I have learned in my from my experience about my CV. That a general CV never works. You have to always update your CV based on the positions you are applying. Like you have to change your like you have to change your experience, your skill based how, and to show from your CV that how that will match the job requirement or the paper qualifications. I would like to share one of my experience. Like while my research topic in my PhD was deep space networking, and but in my PhD tenure I was able to understand that if I continue this area, there will be a very less opportunity. There will be a very less opportunity for me. So I just wanted to change my area of research. and I want to explore something different and common topic of networking. So once I was applied to a professor who has some positions in the 5G networking, and I got rejected. But that professor sent me some good tips about my CV. He said me that, Zangita, your CV is showing that you have a lot of experience in space networking, but you should remember that we are not looking for a person who have a experience in space networking. So you have to change your CV in such a way that we could able to understand that your knowledge in space networking is actually beneficial for us in 5G technology. So that's the small tips he has given me, because he was very kind. So I just want to show you that how after that how I have changed my CV. So in my CV, in my research and experience, whatever I have written about my thesis in a small paragraph, then I have added something like I became proficient in this. I have gained experience in this while I was doing that. I have enhanced my skill in this area, which are very general, which can be applicable to the any area of the networking. So you have to keep these things in your mind while you are writing your CV, that you should always you should always your C with your CV you should always impress the your recruiter that your experience will be beneficial for them. And the other next point is like you have to use some actions verb to describe your expertise and the accomplishment. So this is the first CV which I made. Then I was actually asked some of my one of my senior who is very successful in his life, in his career path. Then these are the point he has made about me, that I made a paragraph here, like with the which is a junk kind of paragraph. Then he advised me that try to put in 3-4 items in the bullet points. So in the next modified CV, I make it as a bullet point. Then he told me that I have written developed, and he said me that use the word I developed. So here we can see that I have used the word I have analyzed, I have developed, I have evaluated. So these are some key points while you have to keep in mind while you are building your CV. You can you have to use some actions verb like I designed, I developed, I lead, I evaluated, etc. And another thing is like while I was putting my teaching experience and mentorship, I just make it like this in a list form. And then that my senior suggested me that add some specific number, that how many MTech students you have guided, how many BTech students you have guided, classify your experiences. So in my modified CV, you can see that I have make it in a two class, like teaching and the mentorship experience, as well as the teaching experience. And I have also mentioned the number, like 4 master students I have guided, 3 BTech students I have guided, in this way. So these are the few points you have to think. I am not telling that this will be the exactly same as with your CV, but these are the things which I have experienced, and it really helped me to improve the reachability of my CV. So then the next is tips for writing a cover letter. So first point is don't write a very big cover letter. So always make it a short but very concise, but with the full of informations. In a cover letter, your first 3-4 lines will be the introduction. There you have to tell your PI that which actually the which to whom you are applying, that why you are writing, including what positions you are applying for. Or if you are just want to looking for a position, just state that you are looking for a positions, included the area you are interested in. And then you will provide the basic introduction about yourself, including your field of study, describe your current position, recent and what you are recently looking for. And your second paragraph will be about if you are applying for a specific vacancy, you need to inform the PI why you are the best candidate for this particular position. Include things such as past research experience and relevant skills and trade that makes you a great candidate. And if you are asking for a vacancy in that person's, then you have to mention that why you are interested to work with them. And here you can mention some of his or her papers which make you interested to approach him, that may impress him. So again, mention how you can contribute in his team. And then you have to write a 4-5 lines about your future research goals, like how you can contribute in his team and what are your future plans. So these are the very general tips for writing a cover letter. And the other important thing which I experienced in my which I experienced, that before applying for a positions, Google yourself. Let's just check, just see that, do some research on yourself and figure out what kind of online presence you currently have. Create your, if possible, create your own websites with details of your academic achievement, research publication, project and other activities. Like I remember that I was giving one interview, and that person is asking me that can you share me a link that where I can show whatever about your achievement and your publications. And I didn't have any link to share with him. So after that, from that experience, I gained this experience that you should be always updated your, at least your Google Scholar account, your LinkedIn profile, your ResearchGate, and if possible, make a website. And after all this, if you got an interview preparation, so like in generally whatever the interview I have experienced, I have seen that they have in generally asked you for a summary of your thesis. Then they may ask you about the simulator and the mathematical tools you are comfortable with. They will, and they will ask you some fundamental principle that you have used in your research. And this is very important because I have seen that they are very much they are very much uh, uh, means into it, that whether your basics and your fundamental idea about research is clear or not. And always try to impress with your work, but don't boost too much as that they can have a negative impact. So these are the things. Like now I will give you about some little discussions about the postdoc fellowships. There are so many fellowships available. This here I am just listed out some few of them, that Mercury co-fund postdoctoral fellowship, Mercury individual fellowship, FWO postdoctoral fellowships in Belgium, Swiss international fellowship, and there is another fellowship for the women in that is AAUW international fellowships in the USA. So if you search in it, you will get a lot of informations about this fellowship. As I got the co-fund fellowship, Mercury co-fund fellowship, I know the detailed procedures of it. So I will just give a brief about it. So in the first suggestions, my first suggestions, if you want to really do, or you get a postdoc positions in Europe, you should have a account in Eurosuccess portal, because they always give you some informations about the public about the fellowships, their deadlines and the open vacancies and all. Mm, Basically, the Mercury fellowships have some two strict eligible criteria. First is at the time of the recruitment of the host recruitment, you must have a doctoral degree or have at least 4 years of the full-time equivalent research experience. So here you can keep in mind, without submitting the thesis or or even just after giving your synopsis, you can apply for a Mercury fellowship. So don't think that if you don't have a doctoral degree, if your defense will be delayed, what will be happen to your fellowship? So you are always eligible. If usually we all have 4 years after our enrollment, so if you have a 4 years experience, you are eligible to get that fellowship. And second one is you should not have 12 months in your 12 months of living in your host country. Like now I'm in Ireland. If I can't be, when I was joined before that, I can't be here for 12 months in the last 3 years. So this is a very means like this is how you can apply for a Marie Curie fellowship. At first you have to look for the ads, then you have to find the host organizations and the supervisors. So you can ask him or her to host by sending a mail. You can attach your CV, your cover letter, and your future activity about this project. Then you have to decide a project area. My suggestion is always choose, if you are really going for a fellowship, then you should always choose a project area which has some industry impact or the impact on the human life. Because when I was giving the interview, last round interview in the Marie Curie fellowship, they asked me about that what is the industry impact of my project and how I will impress my industry partner about my project. And they will also ask you that how it will impact on the life of the general human being. So after deciding the project area, you have to write the application and the project proposal together, like with your supervisor, like your host supervisors. So usually this kind of fellowship has some the specific proposals temples. So you have the template, you have to maintain that templates guideline. So always use some diagram, charts, tables, and figures wherever possible. You have to very precise and concrete objectives uh, about the whole project. You should always remember when you are writing a project proposals, it's not only about your research topic. It's not about your research objective, your research methodology or timeline. You should always give a good impact that how the knowledge transfer will be done between you and your supervisor's team, how the supervisor team will help you to enhance your career, and how your knowledge will give some will have some contribution in your supervisor's team. So these things are also very important while writing the proposals for a fellowship. And the evaluation procedure is usually for the co-fund.
Yeah, Sumita, sorry for the interruption. So can you kindly wrap up?
Yeah, this is the last things. I just want to tell you that usually the evaluation procedure is like for the proposal is 50% and interview is 50%. And for while you are doing for your proposals, like writing your proposals, you have to be very careful. You have to give so much effort to writing the proposals, because your fellowship, whether you will be granted that fellowship, is totally, it's mostly depend on your proposal, other than your CV, other than your other factors like your communication presentation skill, your profile. But those things will be there, but your proposal is the main thing. So write your proposals. And my suggestions is, many of us actually think that okay, Marie Curie fellowship or that fellowship is very tough for us, we will never get to achieve that. I can say you, I don't have that much that much good profile, what good much profile, but still I was able to get this opportunity because of because I write these proposals very well. So don't lose your don't think that I can't get that. Always try for it. If you even didn't get it, you will always get the experience. So that's the things. Thank you. And I think we will, if you have any questions, and like if you even have any guidance about while you are applying for a Marie Curie fellowship, if you need really need any suggestions about how to approach, how to write the fellowship, if you need any sample, then you can always contact me, and I will can promise you that I will help you as far as possible for me. Okay, thank you.
So thank you very much. I know like 15 minutes for this kind of session is very less, but we have like panel discussion. So there like other topics we can cover. So now I guess we can move over to our next speaker. Orita is waiting. So
thank you, Devarsi. Let me share my screen first. So I will try to complete it as early as possible, but I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
Yes, slide is visible.
Okay. Okay, so again, thank you, Sangeeta, for your wonderful talk. And once again, a very good evening to all of you. So this is the second time when I am delivering a talk on some non-technical topic at IIT Kharagpur. The first one I have given a few years back as a resource person for this filing patent and all these things, right? So I am very happy that this IEEE Computer Society student branch, IIT Kharagpur, is organizing such a nice event, and the topic is really interesting, and it is, I believe that this will be very beneficial for the PhD student who will be completing their degree in the coming 1 year or so, and for juniors they will have some idea about how the trend is going on. So I will take 10 to 15 minutes for discussing on this topic. So some of you may already know me. So I completed my PhD from IIT Kharagpur, Swan Lab, so under the supervision of Professor Sudeep Mishra. Here I would mention that Professor Sudeep Mishra is a wonderful supervisor, and I am very fortunate to have during my master's and PhD, I got the supervisor like him. And currently I am working as a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Luxembourg. So, although Devarsi introduced me, still from my end, I would like to discuss something what I am doing or what I had done already, and which is related to my career. As I discussed that I am currently working as postdoctoral fellow at University of Luxembourg. Prior to that, I had been with Swan Lab. Then I have a company also. I have a startup company which is known as Sensor Drops Networks Private Limited. It is incubated at IIT Kharagpur itself, and I received a few fellowships also. Then my broad area of research is IoT. Specifically, I worked on sensor cloud, and I have a few publications, and I have written one book also. For more details, you can visit my website also. So I delivered a few talks in different IEEE conferences and different events in India and abroad. I received a few awards, and some of my works published in different newspapers, and it was featured in different news channels also during my PhD. So I have been reviewers of different journals, including IEEE and IEEE Transactions. So yeah, as we remember that the first case of this COVID encountered in January 2020, and during March it was like declared by our honorable Prime Minister that there will be some nationwide nationwide this lockdown. So at that time we were like scared, and we used to have different type of medicines for vitamins, and sometimes if we had some cold and cough, so we had to take different paracetamol, and we are already scared, and our mental health was not good at that time. So and I would mention that this was like my crucial stage of my PhD, and along with that, I had gone through this severe pandemic situation. So it was really a very difficult situation for all of us. So somehow, by God grace and with the help of our researchers worldwide, we have now vaccines, and the situation is getting better. So in this talk, I would mostly cover my about my experiences and how I have applied in different postdoctoral position. The last year of my PhD was very crucial. At that time, I used to think in different directions, different technical thing, non-technical thing, what will be our futures, like that. So in March 2020, I completed almost all my work of my PhD. Then I delivered my PhD synopsis in April. Then at that time only, I started apply for a different postdoctoral position, and along with that, writing thesis. Then thesis submission and is done in the month of May. Then I received the first call of postdoctoral position. I mean, there was some interview, and I from that time, from May to August, I have applied for many universities across the globe. Then in August and September, in this duration, I received multiple offers from multiple universities. So, as I am mentioning multiple times that this PhD, the last year of my PhD was very crucial. And at that time, I used to think whether I have done enough work, whether I have done quality of work. So by God grace, I could publish most of my works in good journals and conferences, and for all the PhD works I had done, so it was published in good journals and conferences. So from that point, I could have some confidence that the quality of works that those are good enough, and but at that moment there was something in mind that what can be done extra, for my CV. So that it can give some impact to for my future, for getting a postdoctoral position and all. And finally, after going through that phase, there was some transition of submitting my thesis and delivering PhD synopsis. So the one problem was, like, at that time the online events was started. I mean, for IIT Kharagpur, we were in the first phase of that, because it's during the month of April, May, like that. So IIT Kharagpur started these online events. Nowadays, these are tuned with the situation, but at that time it was difficult. So I had to know many processes, what to do, to whom should I talk, and all. So along with that, there was a stress always in mind, that how to prepare a slide, how to different paperwork are remaining for submitting thesis, and thesis writing was one of the crucial work during the end of the PhD. So these are all with me. Then the main thing is coming into the picture, that is the application for this postdoctoral position. So I had to take strong determination, where should I apply for a postdoctoral position, and preparing accordingly. I prepared research proposal, slides, and it was a very problematic or difficult situation for me due to that pandemic. So finally, I had multiple offers. So for that, I was happy at that moment. So major problems that I faced during my postdoc applications phase. So first one is the fund crunch, and these are mainly related to this pandemic, right? So fund crunch means different universities, they had their projects, different countries they had their projects that, but uh, uh, but those are like may not be always directly related to my domain, right? And the fund crunch was like the governments of different countries, they are allocating fund, but for handling this pandemic situation, maybe for this developing some systems to handling this pandemic, or the study of this virus, and most of them are biological. So those were directly not related to my research domain, right? So it was a problem for me. The second one is the travel restriction. Even if I received the multiple these interview calls from different universities, but and I appeared for many of them. I talked to the different PIs of different projects. So, but we could not move from India to any other country. There was some travel restriction. Even if they liked my profile, they decided to select me, but immediately I could not move to that country. So due to that travel restriction, I faced a problem. So the third one is the fund not received. That means many universities applied for some funds or for some projects prior to this COVID situation, but ultimately they did not receive, or due to the slow process, it was delaying in getting the project finally. So as far as I interacted many professors for for USA. I applied many applied to many universities, but most of them they did not reply. But some of they reply, but their reply is like, yeah, your profile is very interesting. We'll be happy to take you, but the situation is not so good in US. So let us wait for few days or few months. Then after this situation will over, we'll let you know. For Europe, I received quite a good number of interview calls, and I appeared for many interviews. For UK, as I remember the day from UK, I received this interview call on July 30th, 2020. So there also I received an opportunity to face them. And for Canada, I received 2 interview calls. But as we know, Canada is very strict about their all these restrictions, and even now also they are not allowing the flight from India till 30th September. And those 2 universities from where I was interviewed, so those are like among the top 50 universities. And from Australia, I received 1 interview call. So it was nice. But Australia, there was a what they was like told me that even before the COVID situation, their funding opportunities are not very, very good. But they applied in many projects and all, but they are not sure about the situation of this COVID. Now, so I applied in many universities like USA, Canada, Europe, Australia, Asia. So I appeared, as far as I remember, as I appeared for 9 interviews. University of Oslo, NUS, Sydney, then Edinburgh, McGill, Ecole Polytechnique, then Montreal, CNRIIT, Italy, and University of Luxembourg. So among those, I got the final offer letter from Ecole Polytechnique, University of Montreal, CNRIIT, Italy, and University of Luxembourg. But at that time, I started analyzing that why I was not selected in those projects. So I started mailing the professors what is the situation, whether I am selected or not. So I want to show my analysis also. I want to share with you. So from University of Oslo, Norway, I don't know, the interview was pretty good, and I don't know why I was not selected, and I did not receive any reply from the professor also. But I sent only one email to the professor. Then anyway, Singapore, they interviewed me in the month of May or June, and they told me that one project is yet to come. So if it will come, so you'll be get chance to get into this only verbal confirmation. But finally, they did not receive the project. Then University of Sydney, Australia, that is I appeared for the interview, but the domain was mismatched with me, but somehow I received the call. Similarly for this Edinburgh, but there in Edinburgh there is a massive this mismatch in our profiles. From me, I mean, my work is significantly different from the what was in that project. Right. And finally, from McGill University, similarly, like anyway, Singapore, they interviewed me, and they liked my profile. They also assured me that if the project will come, it will be selected or like that. So for this, I appeared for 2 rounds of interview. So, but finally, the project was rejected. I mean, it was not approved from the government. So maybe all of this rejection of projects at that time, maybe because of this COVID situation, because all the governments were trying to allocate the money for some COVID related project or this healthcare project. So it was a difficult situation. So overall experience, I would say that the current situation, it is better in a new normal. And you should have like interesting profile. I mean, you should have different types of work done. I mean, whatever your work, that should be pretty good, and you should have a good number of publications in good venues. Then you may have some patents and experience of work in diverse domain. And domain matching is very much important. Where you are applying the work of your professor, the work domain of your professor should be significantly similar to your work or your experience, so that you can contribute something from your knowledge to that particular project. Then your overall skill, like idea, innovation, paper writing skill, then how you are handling project, how you are handling student, all these should be there, right? Sometimes we handle our intern, MTech student, BTech student, BTP and all. So these are very important for as far as I experienced. And there was, as Sangeeta was mentioning, the same thing I would like to say. There was no direct question from our courses, what we have taken, that what is this sort, what is searching, and no, not like that. But you should have enough knowledge about the research work, what you have done. And you should have in-depth knowledge. I mean that in that 1 hour of interview, they could like they can judge you that how much you are good in research, and your research ability and way of thinking. I mean, you have done your research work in some particular domain during your PhD, but in postdoc there may be slightly different. It may not happen that always it is linked with, or it is similar to your work what you have done in your PhD. So your thinking should be like that you can easily accommodate to the research work what is currently going on, for which you are applying for the position. So your thinking should be strong enough, right? And one thing in every interviews, they asked me what is the possible starting date, and when you can join, because that time it was like due to this pandemic, there's nothing was normal. So they asked me every times. But the good thing is, from my experience, what I would say, like they I mean, all of them appreciated my CV, my profile, and even they did not call me for the interview, but they told me that in the future, if I will have some position, then I will consider your application. And that is true, I would say, because I applied in 2020, maybe in month of August, September, like that. And in 2021, I am receiving the call. I am receiving the this interview call. So these are all about my experience. So I have a few advice for you for the PhD
Yes.
student.
Yeah, Arijit, like,
Yeah,
yes,
this is
can
the
you
last.
kindly, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that quality and quantity of the works, that means your quality of your works, what you have done, that should be good enough. And along with that, you have to maintain the quantity also. And a few good number of publications you should have, like preferably in IEEE transactions, because people are typically impressed with your publications only. And prepare your CV, as Sangeeta is already covered this part, that you have to prepare your CV in a very nice way, and it should contain as much as possible, like your achievements, your works, and all. It should be very clear. Then, see, now the situation is very competitive, so you should target, you should make your target, then you should apply. And when you are applying for some postdoctoral position, so keep ready all these things along with your CV and cover letter. These are very common. Sangeeta is already talked about this. So what I would suggest, apart from this your motivation letter, this your research proposal, your recommendation letters, and name of the referees, then your slides. So these are all about my presentation. So I would like to thank all of you, the chairs, and all the professors who are associated with this event. So I would like to thank you. And if you have any question, you can drop me an email, or you can connect me over Facebook and LinkedIn. So thank you. Thanks, Deborsi.
Yeah, thank you very much, Harjita. So now let's move to our next speaker, Ayodhya. So yes, that's ready.
Thank you, Devashi. So I'll share my screen. Yeah. Is it visible?
Yes, it's visible. Full screen if you can make.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Sorry. Sorry, I'll just disconnect and connect maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it visible?
Yes, now it's fine.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Yeah. First of all, thank you all. Thank you, Ashya, for inviting me to this exciting to talk about this exciting topic, and thank you, Computer Science Student Run Chapter, for organizing this in a so efficient way. So, as the today's topic was decided, that guidance on academic research career in new normal. So I won't say I would be able to guide you that much, because we all are in the process of getting some academic position or industry position. But I'll try to share my experience, whatever I gathered, and I'll try to make it brief. So currently, I'm working as a postdoctoral researcher at University of Rainman, which is associated also with INRIA, CNRS, and ERISA. So I'll try to focus on three questions that I try to answer for myself when I was trying for applying. So why postdoc? So postdoc is, as the other speaker also, Shangita Di and Arjita has mentioned. So this postdoc is not a permanent position. So this is just a transition between your PhD and the next position you are going to have. So be it a industry or be it a academic position, whichever position you would be looking for. So I think postdoc is one of the steps that can come forward after your PhD. So why postdoc? So for me, postdoc was mainly I was looking forward for a postdoc to get an experience how the research labs outside India works in, like what are the facilities we have, what kind of work they are doing. So uh, that was the main idea of deciding to do the postdoc. So I'll share whatever I have experienced during my postdoc. So in postdoc, what I experienced that it is not different from what we are doing in India. So outside, like currently in Europe, whichever like the colleagues I have talked with, or I know a few persons. So from our discussion, what I have gained knowledge that whatever we are doing at IIT Kharagpur and other universities at India, so basically they are doing the same. So there is nothing much new to it, but always you can have a great exposure to it, because in India it is always a problem of limited resources. So whenever you are coming outside of India, so be it Europe, Canada, USA, or Australia, so the resources would be higher that I have experienced. So yeah, so that was the main idea of doing postdoc. And so the next question that comes to my mind is what to expect from this postdoc. So in postdoc, so it is not mainly as Sangita Di has mentioned, like in postdoc that you can get into a postdoc in different ways. So you can go for a project position, or you can go for some fellowships that are available. So if you are going for a project position, so there is nothing much to do regarding your research plan or research proposal, because there is a defined guideline for the project itself, and you have to abide by that. So there is nothing much to do or think in that process. So whenever you are searching for a postdoc after your PhD, so if it is a project position, you should always look for it if it is aligned to your research. If it is not, then it won't be beneficial for you, as well as the chances of getting selected is also less. So always go for like the researchers or the professors you have followed during your PhD, and appreciated their work. So you can contact them through LinkedIn or through email. So for me, I was fortunate enough to get their replies. I might have not got reply from one or two professors, but other than that, I have got responses from every one of them, and I was fortunate about that. And yeah, so in postdoc, you are can expect two different things. So as Professor Mishra and Sarah was mentioning that in postdoc, some professor expect you to guide his MAs or his masters or PhD student, but some professors are expecting you to do just research about your own. So for me, at India, I'm doing my own research. So I'm associated with one of the PhD student, but we are working in hand. So I'm not mentoring him or any sort of that thing in my experience. So yeah, so basically it is an extension of your PhD research, but like you can also explore other domains while applying for postdoc. So for me, my PhD work on software defined networks, but in my postdoc, I'm mainly focusing on fog networks. So, so there is a transition, but it is not, if you think of technically, it is not that huge. So here also I'm doing that theoretical modeling and proposing new scheme for different schemes. But the experience I had in my PhD always helped me in doing the research. So the next question I'm going to address is whom to connect with. So this is a crucial question because as Orizigda was mentioning, so if you go by like randomly connecting with people, you may not be able to get response. So whenever you are trying to connect any professor, try to find out which is his or her research domain and how it is aligned to you. So whenever you are trying to connect with them, so just try to focus on how their advice or their guidance can enhance your expertise and how your expertise can help them doing good research, or you both can connect together and do good research. So that is like what I have focused on. And yeah, so the next question would be how to connect with. So to connect with like if it is a project position, you can always mail to the professors. Here my suggestion would be like try to find out the profile of the professor and whatever the contact email IDs you can connect with, because what I found that many professors do not follow all the email IDs or the institute email ID they have and always reply back. So it's better to have like more number of email IDs of the same professor and try to connect with them. So that is one response. And another thing I would suggest that this is not technical, but this is in my from my experience that there are multiple like email trackers are available, so you can use those to ensure that the professor has read your mail. So many times it happens that like whenever you are mailing, so it might go to spam or they might look over your email. So whenever you are mailing to them, so just try to use a tracker so that you get a notification that okay, they have received your mail and read your mail. So that is one thing I have followed. And so it might happen that like they are busy, they might be busy with their work, and we can always send an not repetitive, but connecting email maybe with a gap of 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So like I found that that is helpful in my case. So now to share my experience. So during my PhD, I have the opportunity for doing an internship or work as a visiting researcher at India. And while working, so with my supervisor, we connected well. And immediate after my internship is over, so he offered me the postdoc position, and currently I'm working with him only. So that is one advantage I had like when looking for postdoc. So after my PhD, I didn't like devote that much of time to look for a postdoc because I already had a position, and due to this pandemic, it was difficult to get the position because there was funding issues, there was like traveling issues, and like other sort of things. So I just jumped into the position I had in hand, and like I have been working here for last 1 year almost. So, but after joining over here, so like as you know that these postdocs are basically a temporary position. So we can always continue doing it like while talking with your supervisor. So if they have position, they will accommodate you. But what I felt about is basically, so my idea was to experience the research qualities that like different countries are having. So I had a postdoc experience in Europe. So I was looking for postdocs in Canada as well as USA. And fortunately, like then also I mailed a few professors only. Like if I count them, that might be less than 10. So, but I'm fortunate enough to get the replies from them, and one of the renowned Professor Walisha, has offered me a position, and maybe I'll be joining him in next few months. So yeah, so the experience was good, but at the title is suggesting that in new normal, but so currently I don't think pandemic is affecting that much the postdoc positions, because the fundings is available. So it was affecting the postdoc position in the year of last year 2020 or early 2020-21. So but now I think it is pretty much in good uh, phase, and uh, whoever is looking for postdoc, you will be able to get the postdoc positions um, as per your expectation. So I don't think there would be a problem. But whenever you are applying for postdoc, so just think about it, that whether you want to go for a fellowship based postdoc, that is individual fellowship, or a project position, because the process of these two is totally different. So uh, if it is a fellowship position, then you can always connect to a professor, but the process is totally different. So just while applying, just keep this thing in your head. And that is also, you can always connect me through my Gmail, and this is a website I have. So if you have any questions, so just drop me an email, or you can connect. Like many of you have my contact number also, so you can just connect with me if necessary. Yeah. So maybe we can discuss more in the panel session. Yeah. Thank you.
So thank you very much. So it was really nice to hear from three of you in a detailed way, what we can do as a career in academia. So now, like the most desiring topic, that's the panel discussion. So obviously, to just keep it, what should I say, keep it in sync. So I will ask the question in that order which you have delivered your talk, but it's like open to everyone. Like any one of the speakers can address any question. So these questions that we got from our participants while during when they registered for this event, and also we just received multiple questions from our social media platforms like YouTube and Facebook. So obviously, many of the questions has been answered, but I'll try to take the most important questions that that is more general for everyone. Yeah. So let me start with Shongita Di itself. So Shongita Di, so are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first question is so are GRE, TOEFL, or IELTS, these type of examinations are required for any postdoc opportunities in outside
I
India?
don't think so. I never asked for, and I don't think. And but obviously, if you have a GRE or TOEFL score, you will mention it in your CV, and obviously that may give you impression, but it's not a required category. Means no one will ask you about that, especially in Europe. No.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
Devarsi,
Yes.
I
Please.
would like to add one more thing. Actually, Sangeeta is correct. So, if your degree it was in English, I mean, you are from any English medium, right? And you can prove that one, then there is no required at this higher stage, right? Because you are not going for PhD or masters. So at this stage, not required. But one of my friends, he joined in UK as a postdoctoral researcher. It was not mandatory, but somewhere it is written over there. If you have a TOEFL, then it is good, like that.
Okay.
So again, this is not mandatory.
Just to add one thing, so I'll share my experience. For these US postdoc that I've been offered, so they always look for some documentation that you have your degree and your courses in English. So for that, like if for us at the mark sheet we are given from IIT Kharagpur, so there it is mentioned that courses are taught in English. So we please try to highlight, because they will be asking for a English interview, but you have to pay for that. So you can just nullify it by showing your mark sheet. So that is what I did, and like other things is fine. So yeah.
Okay, that's great. So I think that's really answers this question nicely. So moving on to the next one, that's a bit tricky. So simple but tricky. So for Originda, it's like, so can postdoc guarantee a secure job? So in India,
Never.
maybe in outside.
Never. Because you cannot. I mean, lots of maybe. I mean, particularly in India, for lots of my seniors, they could not even they have good CV. They have around more than 2 years of postdoctoral experience from reputed university among top 20. So they could not arrange a faculty position in India. But always it is better. See, the competition is really now, it's really very high, and it is some untold fact that is the you should have postdoctoral position if you want a good job, or I mean good in the sense, I mean this premier institute like IITs, NITs, even if it is in like triple ITs also. So they expect to have a postdoctoral experience. But again, as Professor Misra was saying, if you have some research experience in some industry also, that is also fine sometimes. Because you can see lots of people from the government organization like DRDO, this ISRO, they joined later on as a faculty. So those experiences also counts.
Okay. Okay. So moving on to the next one. So these all are, I guess, what should I say? The popular doubts of the participants. So, like we see that faculties or researchers having multiple postdocs. Like this question for Izonda. So, like where to end? So, one postdoc is sufficient enough? Should we go for two, three? Like, so, is there any kind of definite, what's this? Definite boundary of this?
Okay. So to answer your question, so it's nothing but like whenever you are appearing for any interview. So I like from my experience, I have appeared a few um, faculty position interviews. So there they are asking that like how many postdocs you have. So some of them have asked, but like most of them are not really into how many years of postdoc you are doing. So but recently I appeared for one interview and they have asked like you have 1 year postdoc, why don't you go for another postdoc? So uh, it depends on the examiner itself or the institute you are applying for, but there is no definite rule that you at least need to have these many postdocs. But like as per my understanding, like having 3 year postdoc, it max, like at max it is enough. So less than that it is also fine, but it depends on like the examiner how they're considering you to be a eligible candidate.
Okay. I would just like to say that Deborshi, that it is actually basically depends on what is your final objective. If you, I said in my presentation also, like if you want to go back to India and settle down there, then like you have to start in your postdoc position. While you are doing your postdocs, you have to start that procedures, because that is a long procedures. And whenever you will get a final positions in India, you can stop your postdocs and you can go there, because many of my friends are doing postdocs abroad, but they are searching for the jobs in India. And even here I have one or two my friends, they don't care about that stable job, so they are doing the postdocs. Means like here I have seen many peoples here, here, the means originating here, they don't care about the stable jobs, they are doing the postdocs like other jobs. So like it depends on what you actually want at the end. So this things happens.
So
Okay.
Devarsi,
Yeah, yeah.
as I want to, I could not resist to reply for this question. Like as Oyon and Sangita, both of them, covered the most of the parts, right? So it is very true that people in India particularly, they expect to have less than 3 years. Again, if it is more than, they may not take it in a very good way, right? And second thing is, in abroad, many people you can see like they are doing postdoc after 5 years, 5 years
Yes.
of their PhD,
Yes.
like that. There is some career break. They were working in some industry, again they came, going for postdoc, right? So here it's if that you have to fix that where you want to go. If you want to go back to India, then it is better to apply for the faculty position maybe after 1 year of your postdoc experience. And one more thing, it is very restricted in India. It is mentioned over there in faculty applications that it is preferably below 35 years. So you have to consider that thing also, because they can ask, it will take lots of time, around 6 months, 8 months to process when you are applying, and the duration of getting a call. So it takes a good number of months. So you have to think on that part also. So you have to take that decision very wisely.
Yes. And even in this pandemic situations, they are taking more time, like 1 year, 1.5 year, just to process the applications and getting a call. So these things should be considered.
Okay. So
Devashira,
moving to the next.
hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, can I ask a question if you allow me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, like,
Please, please.
actually, the whole discussion is mostly lean toward postdoc and all. I am asking about in PhD perspective, right? So, how to choose the problem, right? The problem we have to target in our PhD thesis, right? So, what are the factors we should keep in mind? Should it be like the budge technologies, or what to say? Like if I am in AI, right? So it is related to the top things which are going on, or it should be a subset, or what? Like, what are your ideas regarding the?
So Deepak, can we take this question offline, because like that this is maybe a kind of bit. So we are like here mostly talking about the life after PhD, I
Oh,
guess.
okay,
So
okay,
like the
okay.
industry track we have yesterday, like after PhD, like how should we move?
Deepak, you can send me an email.
Yeah, sure, sure.
I will
We'll do that.
reply.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So
Yeah.
Deepak, please don't mind if we can take this question offline. So any of our speakers
Yeah.
you can reach and ask these questions if you have. So will it be fine, or any of the panel would like to take it, because we have lots of other questions. So, I
That's
think
fine. Yeah.
yeah. So moving to the next one. So I guess now it's Shomita Dee's turn. I guess. So yes, so this I guess this is a kind of very abstract level question that uh, we know that choosing a guide in PhD is very much important. So how much important it is for the postdoc? So should we select some renowned one? Should we select someone who is helpful, or like how to select?
Uh, it is also like here I just want to mention one point, it also depends that in which way you are going for the postdocs. I told you, and everyone is actually informed this, that there is a many way to get take a means do a postdoc, like is a fellowship as well as a project. If you are going through a project, obviously you will choose a person which is actually inclined to your research area, who obviously who have a great publications, who have a strong publication details, where you feel that your CV will be will get some value while working with him. But for while you were doing for the fellowship, I think, because my seniors also suggested me these things, like when you were applying for a fellowship, you have to little tricky about choosing the supervisors, because if you are choosing a very good professors who is so renowned, who has so many projects and so many publications, then you may not get the fellowship, because the fellowship which the organizations who was giving the fellowships, their one motive is to support who are not that successful. Okay, means I'm not telling that this is the main thing, but obviously, like I just like that two of my friends were applying the Mercury IF fellowship last year, and one got, both of them are were in a waiting list, and the one friend's marks was the higher than the other friend, but ultimately in from the second waiting list, the one is selected whose marks is the lesser one. Then when she joined, and then she had discussed with the other persons, then she came to know that at that time the organization of that fellowship was decided to support the countries which are little undeveloped, as her university was from the Hungary, so that's why she got the opportunity. So these are some internal factor that matters from the fellowship, which we are may not able to understand from the outside the whole thing. But whenever I was going for this fellowship, my seniors who got the fellowship are always suggested me, don't choose a very renowned person, keeping a medium one. But obviously, you have to balance. That's the thing.
Okay. So anything Arijit or the like to add?
Yes, so I applied so far for one fellowship, I mean, in 2020 itself. So, I experienced the same thing. I think Sangeeta is correct, because I tried to apply for the fellowship with a very renowned professor. He's a IEEE fellow and very renowned in our field, right? But I don't know, in spite of having good proposal and all, maybe from my own perspective, but I could not get chance. But later on, for some other instance, for some other students, so I came to know that whatever Sangeeta was saying, like they used to give the funds to those professors who are who are seeking fund or who are growing, right? So it is again, but you have to optimize this thing. Where if you want to, like, both are required. If
Yes.
you have to think that your supervisor should be good enough to, he should known to your community. At the same time, you need that fellowship also. So that optimization you have to decide. And many other factors are there. That is for sure. I mean, your profile, your publications, if there is some interview, your performance in the interview, whether your research proposal is strong enough or not, all these factors are also there.
So there was I'd like to add something, like not in the direction, but Shankita Di and Arijita said. So like my suggestion like would be to, whenever you're like looking for or applying for some postdoc, so just go with this thing that like postdoc, you can take this opportunity to connect with the like people who are successful, because that will eventually help you in later in your life. Okay, so you can think, or you can take these in two directions. So either you go for a reputed university, or you can go for reputed like professors. So if you go for reputed professors, so there is a higher chance that your profile would be better. And if you go by like reputed university, so you will connect with many people, may not be that renowned, but you will have a group of people, or you can connect with them, and there is a possibility that something good would come out of it. So there is no harm in either of these two, but you have to choose and apply accordingly. So that would be my take. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I hope like we are almost at the end of the session, and we are almost going 30 minutes of overtime. But this type of sessions are so interesting that the question never stops. Never stops actually. So before we move to the next set of questions, so that is common for all of you. The question is like the one of your best postdoc interview experience. Like each of you will 3 to 4 minutes we can summarize the thing. But before I ask that, so any question our other volunteers would like to make focus, like keeping this today's topic in mind. So any
Am
of
I
the
audible?
volunteers? Yes, Raj, please.
Yeah, okay. So thanks all the speakers for this amazing talk. Like I'm trying to get into a faculty position in the future. So like I wanted to ask is like how different is the life of postdoc compared to PhD? For example, for PhD, like the life is really hectic now. So what happens in case of postdoc, or like are the Indian postdocs, like how is the work balance different in foreign versus India?
So should I start?
Yes, please. Wonderful question.
Yeah. So see, what I can answer all these questions because I have lots of experience for applying this postdoc thing, right? So I can answer this one very nicely. So no, the thing is, yeah, it is different. Is definitely if you are doing postdoc in India, if you are doing postdoc in outside India, it is different, right? So if you want to enjoy the life and you want to be relaxed, so Europe is a good place, I'd say, because they have their I mean, you have to do your work, right? I mean, someone will be there, you have to answer them, right? Everything is fine, but uh, you will have some Saturday, Sunday, you will have some holiday, and no one will disturb you. Because I visited in my PhD, I visited Paris also, right, for 3 months. I think Oyon also visited India during his PhD. I think his experience is same. So if you really want to enjoy your postdoc, so you come to Europe, right? And all the facilities are there. Everything is very good. Most of the places are good. You can visit multiple countries. You will have some weekend and holidays and all. I mean, everything is good. But the thing is, if you observe very few researchers are renowned from uh, Europe. As per my observation, most of maybe US is maybe the most of the universities, reputed universities in US, Canada. Then that's why this can be one of the reasons. But these people are, what I found, like they are bit relaxed. They have their own personal life, and that is good in one way, because sometimes we should relax. And recently I received an offer from University of British Columbia. The rank of that university is 45 worldwide, right? It's a very renowned university. So they already mentioned lots of stuff I have to do, and the project is funded from Amazon. So you have to do this, you have to guide student, you have to you have to serve the purpose of Amazon, you have to serve the purpose of the PI. So lots of tasks. Similarly, I feel I received the opportunity to have from Montreal. So there also that professor asked me the lots of things. So in my proposal I have written that in 2 years I can publish 4 journal papers. So he asked me why 4, it can be more than that. and you have to file patent. Maybe from your PhD topic, can we start a startup? So his expectation is beyond like imagination. So maybe one of the reasons, maybe at that time I had enough number of publications. So by that he could like he thought like I can make some works by this fellow. So like that. So again for Europe from Ecole Polytechnic, the same thing happened. I appeared in 5 rounds of interviews, and they have in different rounds they have different expectations. First they came with this normal research presentation. Then they asked me. They contact. I mean, along with that professor, another professor came. He asked me about this IP thing, IP related, patent related thing. Another professor came. They how to develop software and all. So they were also expecting to lots of things. So this is only one universities I faced that they were also like they also tried to get multiple types of things. So now the main thing is your priority. If I should not say that Indian postdocs are bad, they are also working hard. They are also working a lot because in IISc Bangalore also nowadays few fellowships are there, and those are pretty good. See you cannot compare these monetary aspects, because always in Europe, as the currency is high and monetary aspects, if you consider this in Europe, it is good, right? Even in Canada, what I am getting, that is much less than compared to this fellowship. So I don't know whether I will be finally I will be moving to that university or not. So this is the thing. So in US, Canada, it is bit tricky, but some of the universities in US are there who are not associated directly with research, but they are more focusing on this teaching thing. And in Europe, the situation is you can, if you want, if you can definitely work in like good research problems and all, and definitely some of the universities is very reputed in Europe also, right? So these are my perspective.
Yeah, I also like support Origin. Like, though I don't have that much experience, but while I was doing PhD in India and while I was doing postdocs in Europe, what I feel that there is some cultural difference. Like here, people give a value to your personal life, personal life. Like they said that you have to work 40 hours in your week, so you can complete that 40 hours even in a first 4 days of your week, and then you can take a leave, or you can do, means like you are not answerable to anyone what you are doing except your working hours. Even my supervisor always told me that your working hours is different from my working hours. You are not obliged to answer my mail whenever I mailed you, or in my time. So that is some cultural difference, but this kind of freedom I never get while I was doing especially my initial years of IIT Kharagpur. I never get this kind of freedom, or that I could think that okay, means at that time I always feel guilty to having my personal life, but here you will never feel that, so that's a good thing.
For example, like for some here, I need to, like in the initial days of my postdoc, I need to have some medical appointment or something. So I took permission from my professor, and he was saying, "Why you are asking to me?
Yeah, yeah.
It's up to you. Whatever you
Yeah,
want,
yeah,
you can
yeah.
do, but you have to complete your work, whatever they
Yes,
assign."
yes, yes.
And this is very, I mean, very, what do I say? Very gentle environment.
Mental, yeah. Even my professor is actually asked me that what you have visited last weekend, why
Yes,
don't you go for
exactly.
the travel? You should travel. So these are some things you will really enjoy in. I don't know about the other countries, but in Europe you will enjoy these things.
But I mean, as per Sangeeta's statement and my statement, don't think that Indian PhDs, Indian postdocs are bad. They are pretty good. And what I believe that lots of different type of capabilities. They have they are really good researchers. Maybe due to this pressure, due to, as Sangeeta was mentioning, the initial days, we compromised with our personal life. By that thing, you are already you are like in the tune of this research thing and all. Okay.
Yeah, just to add maybe, so I'll speak about my experience. So in terms of research quality, so I don't think there would be any such discrimination. Like if you come to Europe, the research quality would be better, or like if we were doing it in India, the research quality would be not good. So there is no such boundary. So research quality, if you talk about, like it depends on like whom you are working with. So but as they like as Orijita and Shongita Di has rightly pointed that a personal life maybe would be better in Europe, but I'm not sure about the Canada and USA and Australia, because what I heard about is basically like they also follow the same cultural thing or same pressure like India. So but if you want to relax after your PhD, so always go for European postdoc. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so like maybe a rush from this this volunteer group to Europe, maybe some next few years can see. Yeah, so like we don't have much time, so we are already almost 40 minutes like over the time. But so rest of the questions we can take offline, because all the speakers are like very much familiar with us, and we can take the questions offline. So before we end, so just 3 to 4 minutes experience of you, three of you, of any interview or the best interview you'd like to share with us. So starting with Shongita Ji.
Okay, it's not like that I have given many interviews. I fortunate enough to get this fellowship before that. But just I like to mention that in each of my interview, I was asked about like I was checked that whether my means basic concept was good. Even means like they always ask me about some basic questions about networking to check that whether my basics is good, whether I'm conceptually good. Like they will ask me about means like when I presented my work, they will ask me the complexity of my algorithm just to check that whether, because I'm mentioning these things because those things are very basic things what we have learned in our coursework, but they are just check your basic knowledge about your research work and the subjects you are working on. And the another thing is I have asked for that what is that, as I was always wanted to change the direction of my direction of my topic. So they always ask me that how you means like you have, why don't you apply for your specific area. Like I told you that I did my PhD in a deep space network. They always ask me that why you have not gone for a ISRO project. Why don't you apply in a ISRO? Why don't you try for an ESA, means like European Space Agency's related project? So I always have to convince everyone that okay, whatever the knowledge I have gained while doing those research, I can also contribute in this area. So that was the one challenge. I think that was the one challenge I have to came across. And that thing, I don't have much to say more.
Okay, so next, Rajit.
Yes. So I would say my best experience was from I appeared for the interview in Montreal. So it was good because the professor tried to judge me in different directions. First, I sent as I have seen that he was in my domain, so I applied to him. Then he asked for along with my CV. So after getting my CV, he was asking why so many of publications. So so I asked no for how long and why so many of publications, how long you have given in your PhD. Then I explained that no it's not like that. So I was there in my masters and PhD and I completed it in around 8-9 years. Then I justified that one. Then again he was asking no, but because most of them are in good venue, good journals, IEEE transactions and journal. So you specify your contributions. You do one thing. You send me a research proposal along with your contributions in each of the papers. So that is very difficult. I mean, I work I done in 2013-14, and again I have to think that what was my contribution, and I have to write that one, right? So so I have written all those things. Then I this research proposal. Then as I mentioned, after receiving that, after 2-3 days, he again sent me an email that see I what I am seeing that in 2 years you are mentioning 2 journals, 4 journals, 2 years. So that is not enough. I guess you can do it more like that. So at that time, I did not have any clue that what should I reply. I mean, four is not so easy to produce 4 journal in 2 years. It's not so easy. Then again, I have make it. I mean, this bit lighter that yeah, I will try like that. I have replied him. Then directly he sent me 2-3 papers of journal, IoT journal, and told me that you go through it and tell me what is your thinking, what can you think any problem out of this. So I could manage to do that one. Then finally, after getting that one, he offered me the position. And for equal polytechnic, it was a bit difficult. It was 5 rounds of interview and with different people I had to face. And at that moment, I had to know everything from research. Then in the second phase, they are asking about IP thing, how you have filed patent, what is your experience and all. And then what is your experience in writing software and code, because we want to put your what will be you will be doing, so I want to put it, convert it into software and all. Then again with the main boss of that group. So multiple rounds of 5 rounds of interview, they interviewed me, and finally I got selected. And by that time I received this offer, and I confirmed them. This interview was most simple one, and only I presented. At the same day they offered me the position, and I asked them that whether when can I expect to get the result. So he told, no, your profile is pretty good, so I mean, we are planning to take you. Then after a few days I received this offer letter. So that's all. I mean, many experiences are there, but it is not possible to share all of them.
Yeah. So, nice. Finally.
Yeah, so to share my experience, so what I understood and observed that like whenever any like professor is looking for a PhD, so he's trying to understand that whatever you have done in your PhD, so how much contribution you have, and what is the basic idea of solving those problems. So how you came up with the problem and how the solution was done. So that like you have to know in and out. So they may be asked, they, as Shangita Di was mentioning, like they may ask you the complexity of the algorithm. So they may ask you like how they may change the problem a bit and ask you like what would be the solution if I change the problem in this way. So they will try to understand what is your understanding about the problem. And apart from that, like what, as per my experience, so they will also look into like if you can define a new problem from a newer domain. So so my experience was like one of the professor has sent me 2 or 3 papers, and from the same domain, but which was not my research domain. And he asked me like, you go through these papers and try to identify what is their contribution, what the research they are lacking into, and how we can contribute if we are working in these domains. So there I had to define a few problems and what can be the probable solution according to my understanding and why I am thinking. So I have to justify the problem, the solution I am trying to define, though that was not my research domain. So so whenever you are doing something or using any solution, just be clear about why you are using that solution. So that may be helpful in the interviews. And yeah, so you have to able to justify everything you are doing. So that is pretty much in a nutshell. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so I guess with this we have come to an end. So like we know that many of the questions are still there, still remain unanswered. So what I suggest to all of our participants, also volunteers, that you can get in touch with all of like any of the speakers or all of our speakers. They are very much helpful, so they will help you resolving the issues. So now, like, yeah, so we are almost 50 minutes like over the time, and extremely thankful to all of the three speakers, Songitadi, Arjita, and Ananda, for like giving your time and staying with us for. Yeah, so.
We are so great. Means like we also want to thank you that you are inviting us to have this means like this kind of event. So this is a new experience also me. Usually I was the other part of the audience. So this is the first time I'm in this side. So this is great actually.
Great.
Yeah,
so,
that's true. And I don't know how much we could help you out from this for this thing, like for getting some idea about application of some postdoc and all. So anyway, we tried from our end. If you have any question, you can anytime you can contact us. We are always available for our juniors, right?
Yes, sure.
Yes, sure. So like from behalf of IEEE Computer Society Student Branch Chapter, so like a small token of appreciation for you, a virtual event. So that's all. That is all we can do for right now.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you so much. Like
kindly,
your effort is actually showing. So
Yes.
thank you so much.
Yes.
to Ajita and also to Arinda. So very like we are extremely glad that you all accepted our invitation and came, and most importantly that you stay for almost 1 hour over the time. So like we are extremely glad to have all of you amongst us. So with this, we can conclude the session. So we put that again one, I guess, one photo with all of the speakers. And quick snap, I guess you can take. So I request everyone to turn on their cameras who'd like to be in this frame, just keep it in memory. So Shukarna, can you please, Shukarna and showed up, can you kindly take a quick snap?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
It's done?
Yeah, it's done.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Songitadi.
Bye, Arijit. Bye, Oran.
Yeah, bye. Thank you.
So thank you all of you.
Thank you, all of
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye
much.
bye. Good night. Have a nice day.
Yeah. Good night.